Hello everybody, I am Ryu. If you haven't been here before, I draw stuff, and I talk about shows, movies, and games that I like. Speaking of shows, I'm once again drawing Has-Been Hotel. Big shocker there, am I right? I also made a script for this video. I wanted to make sure I get my ideas across properly, so if you like the quality, let me know down below. I don't have a consistent upload schedule due to work, but the content I do put out, I would like to put more effort into. This channel is a bit of an art diary in a way, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. Anyway, today's topic, I thought I would explain art styles! Yay! Every artist kind of goes through this phase, and to be honest, usually that phase doesn't end. From great artists like Yone Yamamai to Loish, even Vivian Madrano. Every artist eventually garners a distinct way into drawing. That being said, every young artist nowadays is worried about finding that distinct flavor of art that'll make them stand out among the crowd. You got like Cal Arts, Jelly Style, old school emo art, and anime. Even those genres of styles each have that draw to them in their own way. I want to preface that there is no code to cracking your art style, but I would like to offer my advice on things that will help you out. A lot of my art I used to be super unsatisfied with. Proportions, form, stiffness, and none of the faces ever looked the same, like ever. Literally one point I completely forgot how to draw noses. I don't know what happened. That information just deleted itself from my brain. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone, because it's a type of common issue people face. But to find your art style, you have to know what you like. For example, when I was younger, most of my art was anime-esque, but it was never truly specific, even though I liked things like Soul Eater, which are like super distinct, especially with gothic styles, chunky shoes, and very big shapes. I would just copy from whatever reference I could get, and that would be my style for the day. But that isn't necessarily beneficial for anybody, including myself. Instead of focusing on replicating styles exactly, you could do art style studies. Copy. Do it, you know you wanna. Find an artist you adore and copy their style a few times. Copy their drawings, try to find their speed paints, and truly feel how they draw something. Take with a grain of salt, skill level and basic anatomy understanding is involved as well. Though I think a good example for me is Yo Yoshinari. If you're familiar with Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, Panty and Stocking, or maybe even Gurren Lagann, you've probably seen his art before. He has fluid characters with thin limbs, big bouncy movements, gigantic, very clear shape language, and he isn't shy with perspective. He's a big inspiration for me as of late, and a lot of it has to do with what I've decided on how to draw the human figure. I started off with a style study of his artwork to try and get a feel for the shape language he likes to use, which is mostly helpful in finding why I like his art. It's bouncy, it always feels full of emotion and weight. I also like how he draws shoulders, arms, and the waists of his characters specifically. Though I do make my legs longer, his are a bit short compared to what I would prefer for my style. I really do like the shape. These are two of the best images I can use to show the reference of his impact has had on my art. A lot goes into deciding how to simplify a style, and to make it more unique, try to have an OC, or character too, one you can draw over and over to kind of track your progress as well. And never stop experimenting with the way you color, line, paint, shade, sketch, all of it. I would also recommend asking for critiques as well from your friends. Over time, I've learned to show longer limbs. I like my characters about 7.5 heads tall normally. I like detailed hands, a lower cheek placement, bigger eyes, and more sharp shapes. It's hard to describe since I don't have the shaped style, but I always pull my lines in a way that feels natural for me. Even my curved lines have a sharper feel to them. I prefer knees, shoulders, and elbows to be quite pointy as well, with thinner necks, and I'm slowly learning that even though I like longer, thin necks, my style just looks more cohesive when they're a bit shorter. The old one still feels like my art in that regard. Now it's just more refined in a way that I've become happy with. It's something you have to come to peace with, genuinely. Even my painted style has changed over the years, how I apply the colors and the shading, the amount of layers I use, and recently I'm studying color theory, more to rely less on multiply for my shadows. I also, if you look at back of one of my Alistair drawings, the one with him and the deer, I did that one painted, but I painted it in grayscale. I used to paint all my paintings in grayscale because it helped me with my values, but I've kind of divulged from that just because it's not as fun to do, which is fine as well. Like, if you're not having fun drawing, there's no point in it. No one truly needs a viral style to stick out of the bunch. That's how you become inconsistent or end up hating the art style you garner. And it isn't good to sit in a comfort zone instead of studying either. Maybe you don't want to get better, and that's fine too, but if you're dissatisfied with your art, studies are a good way to make things better. In terms of art progression, I'll throw some images up on screen. Just keep in mind some of these are genuinely 10 years old. Good lord. Okay, moving on from that. Alistair is a great example since I used to start off with very realistic painting styles when I was first drawing him. Started off, I was getting into digital painting and I was pretty realistic with what I was trying to do, but something definitely felt off. I didn't like it. To this day, this art has a special place in my heart. Like, I know it's not polished and half-assed, but it smacks a smile in my mouth in like the funniest way that I really adore. And I was also playing League of Legends a lot, so I guess I was, in a way, trying to go for that, like, splash art feel while keeping it creepy. It didn't really come out so well. So it's a semi-realism painting, and it's funny because I was kind of good at this, but I, like, legit hated it. Looking back, it's pretty cool. I'm just not satisfied with the looks of it. It doesn't feel like Alistair to me, which made me pretty upset. The one after this, I was also going for painting. You know, it's not bad, but it is hyper-realistic, and it still does not feel like the character. It just looks cool. And not only that, but, like, the arm is really out of perspective and looks like poop. After that, you know, there was, like, a more anime look that I was trying to go for, but it's like I used to draw anime digitally, and really flat as well, but once I started painting, it was almost hard to go back to that initial, I guess, style. It's like that style had deleted itself from my brain somehow. Moving on, I drew these two, both of them actually, back to back, mostly as a way to experiment. I know I wanted more anime styled artwork, and funny enough, I was using Sebastian from Black Butler as my references for his face. Realistically though, breaking out of realism mold I pushed myself into was excruciatingly difficult. I was finding it hard to get the shapes right, like especially the way I wanted. I just drew this doodle for Maid Day, don't question it. I just had to draw somebody in a maid dress, and I chose my victim thoughtlessly. Here is where I learned I wanted to give him a tail going forward, and also that I had no clue how to draw hair flipped up. I disliked the hair, but the rest wasn't too bad for the time that I made it. Still very painted, but as you can see the face, I'm starting to understand the shape language for this series a bit better, and the body as well. You know, the limbs are a little lankier. I made him, like, kind of muscly, and he's more of a string bean in the show, but, you know, progress is progress. Here we have another crispy attempt. This was around the time I was painting with scribbly lines on top. Probably my favorite era of painting, to be honest. I should probably go back to that. It's very, very fun. And I'm genuinely kind of happy with this one. He's such a pretty boy here. Slap him in any anime, please. Like, it would work so well. I do think, though, this is where I figured out the bangs and how I wanted to draw the shoes. Next up, we have this painting, just me experimenting with the face shape. I made his hair too small here, and the ears look less wet and more like pine cones. They look like pine cones glued to his head. But, his clear improvement. I also figured out how to draw the eyes a bit more, but not by much. They're getting there. Progress had been made. And we don't talk about Halloween. It was a huge case of art regression. I hated it, but at least it looks more like the art style from Vivian. Then, of March 2025, my ass cracked the code. I finally managed to get my dumbass self to study off of a fucking picture, and lo and behold, this gorgeous drawing was born. But, I wasn't satisfied. Okay, like, yeah, it looks good, and the painting looks like I did it, but it doesn't quite feel me yet. It's really, really reminiscent of the show. It does look like it's from Has-Been Hotel and does match Vivian's style better, but I'm not satisfied. If some random person scrolled by, nothing about this art truly picked up as mine. No distinct features. It just looked like I rendered out a screenshot, you know? So back to the drawing board we go. I like anime a lot, so I attempted to make something of that work. Not bad, technically, but it feels off somehow. Too clean, too pretty, but I do like the way I did his nails here. And the way his ear shape and hair came out. Noting it for later. Okay, so this is still a favorite image of mine. Not bad necessarily. I think aside from some proportion issues of the arms and anatomy being off for this, the style for this was pretty peak. But I wanted to experiment more. Just to be clear, as lovely as this one is, it didn't quite feel right to me yet. Aside from like the pointed nose and thin neck, nothing was really calling out. Ryu! You know? I also tried practicing line art more here, and what I've learned is that his face in the show is kind of round, but the way I draw, it just looks off. But I was getting somewhere though. You could see his hair on top was getting bigger. Oh boy, okay, yeah, I don't know what I was smoking that week. I was getting really tired of line art, and I was watching more anime at the time. I go through moods of having inspiration, and when I do, my art usually comes out better. I went back to painting to cleanse my palette and regain some love for the craft again. You know, scribbling who knows what on a blank canvas, but I learned something else. There is no story. So I made up one called Past, Present, and Future. It's up to interpretation, because I really just wanted to paint a deer with Alistair, but it gave me insight on why I don't like a lot of my paintings. I love illustrations. Art that tells a story if you look at it. You know, like, I want to be able to look at this piece and understand what's going on or what's happened. So, back to the drawing board. I'll address the elephant in the room, by the way. His hair is fucking huge. And I did that shit in one sitting and never noticed. I was trying to do some foreshortening, but it didn't really communicate properly. That aside, I was super proud with the line work on this one. The story that originally, him and Rosie chatting it up over drinks. That being said, I forgot to draw his drink, like, entirely. Whoopsie. It's just an outline of a glass. But then I ended up adding a background character, almost as if she did something that made the other two annoyed to put her out of her misery for being around. I'm getting good at drawing, but I'm still not very good at having plans for illustrations, even to this day. But you can see very thick line art, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to paint when it comes to using line art like this, because I'm not very good at cell shading. Here we have a little doodle. I just wanted to draw a glass, so I slapped this together in a very short amount of time for the fuck of it. No thoughts, head empty, pure dopamine doodle. Speaking of doodles, Radio Trio Week was happening, so I decided to make some doodles for that as well. This one was done in about an hour. Very rummy, Like, I literally sketched it out as fast as possible because I did it like super late at night, and did not have much time to post it. I'm not a big fan of like the weekly challenges because I am a lazy bitch and I will forget to do them constantly. So the next day, this one as well, I rushed and I think I spent a little over an hour on this one. I had more of a plan going in because I found good poses the night before and put them on the canvas in advance, so it wasn't as sloppy as the one from the day prior. And I only did 3 days for this, but day 3 I went back to painting. I did this one in about 2 to 3 hours, just finding some references and slapping down whatever colors I felt like using at the time. I really like how Husk's face came out here though. But as you can notice, key features: pointy shoulders, thin limbs, thin necks, and lower and more rounded out cheeks. See what we're getting here? Style is developing. This one, I ended up having a small plan for. You can find some of the speed paints for these on my channel too, like there's one for this drawing and there's one for the 3 deer one as well. But here you can see big cheeks, thin limbs, long necks, and fingers. I like long, lanky fingers as well. The hair and ears are now becoming more consistent, and I'm toning down how I paint to try and combine my rendering style with my line art in a way that looks less uncanny. Everyone has multiple styles normally, my 2 main ones being painting, and then my friends have dubbed the cleaner one inked due to the scratchy ink pen I line with normally. There's also a good story here too, but I didn't like the composition. There's so much to think about when going into an art piece, but I want my style to also have these key elements in them. Like, Yone Yamamai, for example, always has such a good composition in her artwork, and something about that, like, is a key feature when you look at her art. So yeah. Here is where we get to recent. I've been practicing line art, learning cleaner rendering, practicing line weight and visual weight too. The storytelling here is good, though it lacked planning originally. It's a little half-baked, but all in all it looks like Alistair, but it's also starting to look like something I can confidently say I did. And I think that's the goal here. I think this is more of a style I would like to go for. Now, compare that to where we started. It truly is like a night and day difference, and one I put a lot of effort into. That being said, having a character while I'm developing my style helped me notice differences the most, but this drawing gap was like a 2-year span. Thanks to that, I'm now able to make drawings like this. It's consistent style, but I'm also able to capture a character's likeness while still making it look like it was drawn by me. Of course, I'm never going to stop working on my style or knowledge, but it's a great journey to show, even at the stage I'm currently at. At the end of this, you just want to study, practice, replicate, copy, try and absorb what you like, what brings joy, what's fun and easy, what's hard and piss all aggravating. Art is about joy and experience. You can't just force a style to work. It just won't ever feel right. That being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If there's any specific thing you guys want to see from me, like tutorials, advice, challenges, just let me know. I'd really love to share what I can, the best I can. And thank you so much for watching, everybody. Bye!